Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with my periodic YouTube encounter with insanity. Now, we always like to joke around, and say that classical music people are crazy, Bruckner people are really crazy, opera people are totally nuts, the piano kookies, the violin loonies. Everybody has their niche, and they're passionate about it. And most of the time, the insanity is a nice thing. In other words, it's just enthusiasm. It might be enthusiasm taken to ridiculous extremes, but it's enthusiasm. Their heart's in the right place, right? But every so often you run into someone who really is kind of crazy, like committably crazy or like toxically mean and nasty, and they decide to comment on something that I said. And I like to share those with you, actually, because I think it's a cautionary tale in the first place. And second of all, just a fascinating study in human nature, even on a channel devoted to what I consider to be a completely harmless activity, which is talking about music and sharing opinions about music. Well, it turns out that some of you may recall, I did a video some time ago called something like Two Horrible German Piano Concertos. It was about the Reger and the Pfitzner concerti. And of course, all the Regerians and the Pfitznerniks came out of the woodwork to tell me I was completely nuts. How could I say that about their beloved Pfitzner and Reger piano concertos? And, the intensity of the vitriol is inversely proportional to the validity of the cause in question. Because let's face it, there aren't too many people who are going to go to bat for the Reger and Pfitzner piano concerti. There really aren't. And, the fact that there may be one or two, well, who cares? Even people who like it have to at least concede, which a lot of these people won't, that the music is, well, let's just say, problematic. Let's be nice about it. So anyway, I trashed the Reger, and this guy just yesterday writes a comment that objected, first of all, to my use of the word horrible. I called it a horrible piano concerto, and he went nuts. How could you use that word? That word is so harsh. It's so uncivilized. It's so completely beyond the pale to call something horrible. God forbid I should have an opinion that something is horrible. And, so he goes on and on about that for like most of a paragraph, talking about, he doesn't mention Pfitzner, by the way. He doesn't have a problem with Pfitzner being horrible. It was Reger who can't be horrible. And he says Reagan's Bach variations and all this stuff are some of the greatest pieces of the universe. He wrote some of the greatest organ music in the late Romantic period. He was this, he was that. He's just going nuts. And he's completely ignoring the fact, by the way, that one of my Dave's Faves talks was about Reger, his Berkland suite, which I adore, and that I've talked really rather nicely about Reger quite often and made fun of him a little bit because he was kind of a fusty composer who had issues with things like orchestration. But I've praised his chamber music and I've praised his piano music, and I just pick and choose. But I think his piano concerto is horrible. Okay, so then comes the zinger. The zinger was this. I'll bet that if Reger were Jewish instead of Catholic, you never would have used that word horrible in describing his piano concerto. Well, that took me aback. Let's face it. I understand anti-Semitism. I really do. I've seen a lot of it in my life, and a lot of it directed at me for all kinds of reasons. But what I cannot understand is somebody being an anti-Semite going to bat for the Reger piano concerto. Talk about lost causes. If you're going to be an anti-Semite, go for Wagner. Go for somebody who wrote something that's like an indisputable masterpiece. But the Reger piano concerto, that's what you're going to hang your hat on as a card-carrying anti-Semite? I just was flabbergasted. Because not only is this person a bigot, but they're a bigot for nothing. They're not even getting anything out of it. It completely blew my mind. If you're going to be, that ridiculous and hypocritical. Remember, horrible, the word horrible was uncivilized. but somehow saying that I am only opposed to Reger because I'm a Jew, that is not uncivilized. That is civilized discourse in this person's warped and twisted frame of mind. I mean, can you believe that? Anyway, I wanted to share that with you just because things like that happen, and I just scratch my head and say, yeah, okay, I guess human nature is what it is. But it blows my mind that A, someone believes that, and B, that someone would write it and bother to send it to me. I don't know if this person's name was their real name. Of course, you never really know. His last name was Smith, so, who knows? But he also told me that Reger was Catholic. I didn't know that. I figured Reger was Lutheran because he wrote all that Bach stuff and organ music and things. I was Catholic. Who knew? I sure as hell didn't. But that was my encounter with creepy insanity for the current week or so. And I promptly reported it to YouTube as hate speech. And we'll see what happens. I have no clue. I just was like, whoa, that was a good one. And I thought you should hear about it because it's just another one of those things, classical music, a hobby, something you like. It just sparks such dark things in some people. It really does. And I'm so happy that 99.9% of the people who are watching this are not those people. Truly. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.